fight. Buttons smashed to silence the storm. Virtual worlds become my norm. Buttons smashed to silence the storm. Virtual worlds become my norm. Arcade lights guide where dreams form. Loading peace, a digital conform. XP boost.
Welcome to the stream. This is Gamer Therapy. It's a channel where we take some L's, take some W's, and talk about mental health. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. It's been an interesting weekend. I was trying to go live Saturday and or Friday night. Friday night power went out, and so and then yesterday, yesterday I was just a little over exhausted, and so decided to practice some self-care, which we can definitely talk about and during this stream about when to take care of oneself, when to take care of the self, when to take time for you, and take time to challenge those urges to go, and we're going to be and we're also going to be talking about habits and change, because habits and change are a common theme in the work that I do, and even in the work that I do personally, in the work that I do in therapy. Habits and change are a topic that it comes up often, and so we're going to talk a little bit about habits and change. So Twitch is showing that I'm unstable, but it looks like things are going okay. So we're going to stream for a couple hours. We're going to talk about habits and change, and then I have to get to all the stuff that I've been putting off all weekend, and we're going to talk about procrastination and why procrastination is so pervasive and persistent in life. And so so I hope you enjoy the stream. We're gonna pick up where we left off. We are not doing well at Chambers Bay at the EA Sports Championship. I've got a lot of ground to make up, but we're gonna get warmed up, and we are going to take a run at this. Take a run at our 4-peat or 5-peat, I think. As you can see, I'm 1 over par, 25th place. Not great. So we need some birdies. We need a lot of birdies, actually. Okay, we got good wind at our back. Just gonna try to hit this one nice and straight. It's drifting left, but I think we'll be okay. And as always, if you have questions, drop them in the chat and I will attend to them expeditiously. Okay, we got a little bit of an uphill. Here. I don't know if we need to go 50, but we'll definitely go a strong 60. Oh boy, okay. Batteries are low already. We'll see how long they last. Turn? Yes. We needed that. All right. Ooh. Let's go. Oh, that one's going right. That's heavy, rough territory. 8-iron. We're gonna club up since it's in the rough. Okay. Is that gonna roll back? Nope. All right. And we're gonna give that stroke right back. Hmm. 508. This is a big par 4. Oh, no rough. Okay. Uphill. Definitely gonna club this one up. There we go. A 10-footer. Oh my god. Oh, chat. We are putting like, well, not well. I couldn't find a cogent analogy, but we are not putting well. Okay. Opportunity to get a couple here, maybe. Oh, hopefully it'll kick off the hill. Kick off the hill. Thank you. Definitely not going to get there in two on this shot. Oh, why am I going left? Kick off the hill. Okay, now stop. Stop! Collaborate and listen. Okay, Chambers Bay might be chalked, fellas. And off the green. Not even going to get a stroke on this par 5. Gonna par the par 5. That's fantastic. Okay, with the wind. 1, 2, 3. Gotta be really careful on this hole. 3 clubs down and totally overshot the green. Oh boy. Uh-oh. I'm at risk of not making the cut on this one. That was nice and straight. Mm-hmm. Okay. Get one back. Okay, we're up to excellent on Twitch. Woosah. Woosah. But it's uphill. Ooh, should hit the 3-wood. Now I gotta go all the way downhill. Come on down. Come on down. Nope. Look at that. Look at that mess. I wonder if I could hit it up to that ridge. Stay with me. Oh, it's going over. Oh boy. This is like my IRL golf game. Not gonna give me anything? Okay. Oh, you dirty, dirty, dirty bastard. What's going on with my camera? Off the hill. Off the hill. Come on down. Go on. Take a run. Take a run. Sit down. That's good in the sand. Okay. She clubbed 4 down. I'm not gonna say anything. Oh, slow down. Get back on the green. Oh. Oh, I needed that. That was a tough putt. I needed that bad. Needed that. If I can get back to even, I think we might be in an okay place. Oh, this is an impossible putt. Well, it was an impossible putt because he had the first cut in the way. Just really not a great putt. was like dead straight. All right. 24th place. Not a great round. I did qualify. I'm gonna have to go on a tear. Hey, matching shirts today. There it is. There it is. That's what we want. That's what we want. Just stay in the rough. Nope. Not gonna stay in the rough. How? How? It's in the heavy rough. You think that clubbing up is a good thing and the smart thing to do. Oh, sit down. That's a big club. Okay. Okay. downhill with the wind. Do we think 2 clubs down is enough? Oh, burned it. Let's see, this plays uphill. We got a lot of green to work with. Maybe able to roll it back. This is a big swing. Yep. Well, since the golf game's not going well, let's talk about habits and change. Let's talk about it. So, I'm on a generational procrastination streak this weekend. I have a ton of stuff to do. I've got to get a haircut. Um, I've got to do the dishes. I've got to do my notes from last week. I've got all these tasks that I need to complete. I need to clean up the house a little bit. My wife's out of town, so I've been just being a total degen. And um, the question I get a lot is why do people procrastinate? And I have to say, um, oh, that was pretty. I have to say that sometimes, so there's a few different reasons why people procrastinate, right? Um, the first reason people procrastinate is it's easy. It's way easier to do nothing than to do something. And I think that that's one of the reasons why people procrastinate. The other reason people procrastinate is that they build up the initiation of the start of the task in their head so much that it feels overwhelming. So I've had that. I've had that experience quite a bit, where we look at a pile of laundry, or we look at a pile of dishes, or we look at a paper that we need to write, or we look at whatever it is, whatever the the tough thing is, and we start building it up in our mind as this monumental thing that needs to be done, essentially making a mountain out of a molehill. And that can prevent folks from starting, because we've built it up in our mind so much that starting this thing, or doing this thing feels overwhelming, and we don't necessarily see how to putt properly. No, we don't necessarily see that most of the tasks that we build up in our head are tasks that we've done a million times, and have not been terrible. I started doing this thing with doing the dishes, and I started timing how long it took, and what I found was that the time the time that I had made up in my head. Don't go in the rough. The time that I had made up in my head was egregiously longer than the time it actually took to do the dishes. And so, I was like, oh, this is going to take me hours and hours, because I would wait and, wait until there was sort of like so many dishes. And so I would time it. I would time it and say, how long does this really take? Like, let me challenge what's happening in my head. Let me challenge that. And what I found was that even a counter full of dishes, that's frustrating. Counter full of dishes, even if every dish had been used, right? If we made a big dinner, or if my wife made a big dinner, and there's pots and pans and dishes and silverware, and like it took up the whole counter. When I did it, it would take roughly 30 minutes, and that was very different than the image that I had created in my mind, right? And so Sometimes we just need to challenge what we perceive. That was not a bad shot. It's still over. Sometimes we need to challenge what we perceive because it's not that intense. It's not that bad. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason why people procrastinate. So one, it's the path of least resistance. Two, it's you know the the initiation of the task is magnified in our mind to a point where we feel like it's this monumental task, um, and we feel overwhelmed, and then we just shut down. And then why else do people procrastinate? What else have I heard over the years? Um, Sometimes procrastination has to do with perfectionism, and I find that a lot in academia, in folks that are um, high achieving. Sometimes can find themselves procrastinating because they are perfectionists, and so the way that that works is, say that I have a say that I have a paper due, and that paper is due in 2 weeks. Well, if I start it early and I'm a perfectionist, then what might happen is that I write the paper in 3 or 4 days. Say it takes me 3 or 4 days to write the paper, and then when I go back and attend to it, when I go back and reread it, start editing, start correcting, then my perfectionism kicks in, and I get so immersed in making it perfect that I essentially torpedo the whole paper, right? Like it's just a total rewrite. It's just a total, just a total rewrite. And and so I do that over and over again, and that process is challenging and overwhelming. And so the way to, you know, the the way to attend to perfectionism when it comes to procrastination is I just wait till the last minute. And I did this in graduate school a few times. Is I would wait till the very last minute and write the paper sort of like the same day or a couple days before, and that way, no matter what I had written, it had to go out. Right? There was no going back and editing. There was no torpedoing the whole paper. Like it had to go. Whatever I wrote had to. I had to get out, and that was one of the ways that perfectionism and procrastination worked in concert. Is if you wait till the last minute, then there is no over editing. Then there is no going back through it, and there may not even be time to reread it, right? If it's due by midnight and you finish, the last sentence at, 11:50, there's no going back and rereading it. You just got to get it out. And so, so procrastination can be, just the easy path. It's easy to procrastinate. Procrastination can be the buildup of the start of the task in our mind, or it can definitely be linked to perfectionism and a way to manage perfectionism, and that's something that I've experienced and found with clients um, for procrastination. And I'm on a generational procrastination this weekend. I have so much to do, and I am here streaming, and so because this is the more enjoyable thing. This is the easier thing, right? Again, I've got dishes to do, I've got notes to do, but I'd rather stream because this is the fun thing. This is the thing that I enjoy. So I'm gonna do the thing I enjoy, and then I'll do the things that I don't enjoy later. Mm, okay, on the green in one. It's gonna be a hell putt, but so that's procrastination. Um, and we've talked about this in the past about one of the questions that ChatGPT came up with is, why does motivation disappear? And motivation is always something that comes and goes. Same with inspiration. Inspiration and motivation; those are things that come and go. You know, um, discipline is the thing that trumps both motivation and inspiration. Is discipline. Can I get it up there? Get up, 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 get up. Okay. And the reason why motivation disappears is, because as human beings, we're not always, we don't always have the energy, we don't always have the time, we don't always have the resources, internally and externally to make something happen or to do something. And so the reason why motivation sort of waxes and wanes is that that's natural. It's natural for I wouldn't expect anybody to be motivated all the time. Even if you ask the top tier athletes, and I've had clients that are Division 1 athletes and those types of things, and I talk to them about motivation and inspiration, and and how they stay motivated. And the answer I get 90% of the time is I'm not motivated to get up at 4 in the morning and go to practice. I've just done it my whole life, and so it is hardwired into who I am. Is just that I've done it for long enough, consistently enough, to where it is hardwired into my being. It's hardwired into myself. And so that's motivation and inspiration are supposed to be sparks that can uh, the the energy to create discipline. And discipline is the thing that um, um, prevails. Discipline is the thing that prevails through all of it. It's great to be inspired. It's great to be motivated, but discipline is the thing that prevails through all of it. Get in there. Get in the cup. Get in the cup. Anyway, that's why motivation disappears, because it's not. Inspiration is the emotional spark, sort of like the spark that we have to start something. Motivation is kind of like the fuel that fuels it. Once we get the spark, and then discipline is the actual engine that runs. And like I've said in the past, that an engine doesn't need constant spark and constant fuel. Like, once the engine is fueled and is sparked, then the engine runs. Um, And that's the thing. Sort of like, it's good to have inspiration, it's good to have motivation, but discipline is the engine that is going to run when the fuel and the spark run out. Oh, please don't go in the rough. It's going in the rough. Heavy rough. Even better. Even better. And over. Next question. Next question. Thanks for joining, whoever's here. Thanks for joining. Welcome. Good to have you. Ooh, oh, that's gonna go way too far. Okay. We are floundering at Chambers Bay here in Washington, but we're talking about habits and change. And so, if you have any questions about habits and change, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, my overlord ChatGPT will be the source of the questions. Next question: why do people resist discipline? Well, discipline is hard. Discipline is challenging. Discipline is doing something you don't want to do anyway, even when there's no consequences for not doing it. You know, it takes time. It takes effort. You know, it takes some physical discomfort in some cases. You know, discipline takes. You know, it's discipline is challenging. Discipline is you know, people will struggle. People will. You know, it's uncomfortable, and you know what I say is human beings do not like feeling uncomfortable. In general, we'd rather feel comfortable and you know, complacent, and that's why people resist discipline a lot of the times. But it also takes, you know, consistency. It takes support, right? We have to, you know, have some level of support. That's why a lot of discipline is built in into, you know, team sports. You know, a lot of discipline is built into team sports, so you have a a group of people all with the same goal, all with the same, you know, outcome, all, you know, reaching for the same thing. And so you have a support group. You have a group of folks that can help you, you know, get up at 4 in the morning and you know, drag you out of bed, and you know, and get you to practice, and there's accountability and things like that. And you know, one of the reasons I think people resist discipline, you know, when they're off on their own, is because it is 100% an individual endeavor. You know, it is, you know, one of those things that we embark on all by ourselves, and that's challenging. You know, it's challenging when you know, you don't have a group of people that, you know, are helping you or assisting you. And so, becoming disciplined on your own requires a whole heck of a lot of effort, and time and energy and discomfort, because you don't have that, that camaraderie, or that sort of like group of folks. Now, if you can find it, that's phenomenal. That's great. If you can find, a group, of folks that are also engaging in something challenging or something difficult, that's great. Um, but doing something on one's own is certainly challenging. Okay, it doesn't look like we're gonna win Chambers Bay, but that's okay. Sometimes we take an L. Sometimes we take an L. Why do people avoid starting? We kind of covered this in the procrastination question, but I think people avoid starting because they build it up in their head as to, like, we create the initiation of the task that we want to complete. We build up in our head to be this sort of like monumental thing, and we build it up so much that it becomes overwhelming. So we're thinking ourselves out of starting the task. We overthink it, rather than just you know throw ourselves in, get our hands dirty, and start the task. I think it's easy for folks to build something up in their head where the initiation of the task becomes this monumental thing, and when in actuality it isn't. And so whether that's whether that's starting a fitness routine, or doing the dishes, or whatever, or writing a paper, what have you. We build up the initiation of the task, to a point where it feels insurmountable. Um, it's not going to go in. Um, Welcome. We're talking about habits and change. Welcome to the chat. If you have any questions about habits and change, or anything mental health related, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I love video games, and so I've smashed the two together, and here we are. So, um, let's see. Let's continue. If there's nothing from chat. Um, what else we have? Why do people seek instant gratification? Well, um, because it feels good. Instant gratification feels good. It's a really simple answer to to that question. Instant gratification is it's instant, and that's why scrolling through TikTok, and um, scrolling through Instagram Reels, and things like that are like, people are just addicted to it, is because it feels good. It's dopamine. It works. It coincides with your dopaminergic system, and what happens is, it is the that's the driver, is that instant gratification feels good, feels way better than delayed gratification, because delayed gratification, we have to put time and energy and effort into whatever it is that we are, whatever it is we're doing. Um, let's see, what else? What else we got? Why do people quit too early? Great question. I think people quit too early because because some of this stuff is really hard. Some of this stuff is really challenging. Um, you know, you know, and some of the timelines are really long. When um, when I decided to become a therapist, the timeline for that, I at least sort of like what I had made up in my head was this is going to take 2 years because graduate school is 2 years, and then, and what I overlooked was that there's another 2 years after graduate school where you have to get your supervised hours, right? And so that's a 4 year process. And then after that 4 year process, after you get the hours, then you can have to study and take the test to become a therapist. And so we're talking, 4 years and a few months. And some of these timelines for the things that we really want and the things that we feel like we really want are long. The timeline for having a successful streaming channel, right? I started this in January, and my goal was, I'm going to give it a year and a half. That's a long timeline, right? That's delayed gratification. if if ever I've created it for myself, right? Is a year and a half. Is I'm going to see if I can, mix mental health and gaming and create a successful stream. Um, and I'm going to give it a year and a half, and we'll see what happens, right? But people quit too early because it's challenging, it's stressful, and some of these timelines are quite long. Why is my bit rate crap? And that's why that's not only why it can. What's up, Malik? It can. It certainly can. Sometimes the timeline for that is really long, and it can be uncomfortable, and we can want to quit. 100%. 100%. What's going on, man? I'm sorry about Saturday. The power went out, and I have a battery backup. Um, yeah. Um, I have a battery backup, but I only have like 6 minutes to shut everything down before my computer goes off. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's all you can do is take it a day at a time and see what happens, and just try to do what's best for you, right? Um, trying to do what's best for you is important in that. Last night I definitely did. Last night, yeah. So Friday night the power went out, and then last night, um, was why does my camera keep blurring? Um, Last night was cigar night, and so I was having cigars with my neighbor, and so I left cigar night, and I had my full intention was to come here and stream, and I took a little bit of an inventory, just a little bit of a personal inventory, and yeah, realized that I was pretty wiped out. So you're absolutely spot on with you're definitely your instincts were correct, and so yeah, I took a little bit of a personal inventory, um, and yeah, and said, you know what, I'm gonna sleep instead, and so I decided to get some sleep. Yeah, and I slept. I was like, I slept hard. Yeah, from about I slept for about 10 hours, um, which is not something I'm all that used to. Like I slept hard. I was out from like 11 till 9 this morning. Good, good for you. Good for you. Yeah, you got to do some stuff for you, man. Hold that boundary. And you've been super chill and super nice about it, and wanting her to explore and do her stuff, but like setting the boundary and saying like, hey, I need some me time, you know. Good, good. Yeah, you gotta put you first sometimes. And that just means that like you'll be all the more available to show up for other people when you put yourself first. Good, good. Oh, that's nice. That's good to hear. Oh, get up there, you piece. Yeah. That's good. It's good to tell her the truth. Yeah. Oh. For your stuff. Yeah, you can't blame anybody but you for your stuff. Let's put a let's put a reframe on that, right? Can't blame anybody but you for the stuff that you contributed to, right? Oh, don't go over. Don't go over. You bitch. Because it takes two people to be in a unhealthy relationship. But the only thing you can control is the stuff that you contributed to. You're absolutely right about that. Appointment on Tuesday? Oh, oh, I gotcha. Oh, had to confirm your appointment on Tuesday. Word, word. Good. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, like it's like the what like especially for men, like when when we cry, it's old shit. It's not whatever's happening right now. Like a lot, like since we've been conditioned to hold everything down and stuff everything down. A lot of times when we cry, we're crying 10-year-old tears. We're crying 20-year-old tears. We're crying old stuff. We're not crying the present day stuff. And that's how I like to view crying, especially for men, is you're you're releasing the stuff that has been held back and held down for years. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sounds like she got scared, and she went into that protection mode, which is to just, get herself to a place where she feels, safe, and like with that incident that happened, and probably freaked her out a good bit, and um, it's understandable, men, we don't know how to process like all of that intense sort of like pain and stress, and we don't know how to process it. We don't know how to like let it flow through us because we're so used to tamping it down and stuffing it down that like when it finally like boils over, like it's intense, like that's why we go, punching holes in walls and hurting ourselves, and you know because it's so intense. And the reason why it's so intense is because it's been bottled up for a decade or two. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. I think though, I'll go in the sand. Fucking wicked. Um, yeah, all you can do is what you can do, right? Like all you can do is show up, show her, that that there is that you are capable of, changing and expressing your feelings and being safe, and um, you know, and you've always been loyal, right? You've never did any fucking around. You've always been a loyal guy. So that part hasn't changed. You've always put her and Omari first. That part hasn't changed. The thing that has changed is that you are learning to express yourself and set boundaries, and be a whole and complete, Malik, rather than just um, you know like you know you know not out of control, but when your emotions get the best of you, that you know how to attend to them, and express them. But like there are parts of you, like the loyalty part and the putting her and Omari first part, and all that, like that part, that hasn't changed, man. Like you're still that person, and hopefully, she'll see that, like that's, those are some of the parts that, you know, um, those are some of the parts that, um, are those are the most important parts. if we're gonna acknowledge the bad parts, we got to acknowledge the good parts, and the good parts are that you show up, man. Sometimes you don't know how to show up, but you show up. Yeah. Ooh. Well, it's not gonna be in the sand. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah, there's just like some things you just gotta hold. Some things you just gotta hold back. You know, and um, that's part of it's part of like learning how to regulate, and learning all this stuff is that there is some stuff we just gotta hold and process ourselves. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it shows that she still does trust you, like, in some ways. Yeah, I have. I have seen relationships come back from worse. I've seen relationships come back from worse. I've seen relationships come back from infidelity. I've seen relationships come back from IPV. Um, I've seen relationships come back from a lot of things. Couples therapy. You know, um, the relationships that I've seen come back have come back through couples counseling. And so it's gonna take, right, like it's gonna take, um, it's gonna take readiness and willingness. um, with consistency and communication. Consistency, like showing up, like doing all the things that you're doing right now, like consistency, showing up, like showing the other person that they can be, trustworthy, showing that person that they can be emotionally regulated, showing that person that they can, you know, be safe and that they listen and care for. And yeah, that might be how she feels right now. That's okay. Well, like, yeah, it's hard to hear, man. It's hard to hear, and it's hard to bounce back from. You know, um, bouncing back from that. And one thing that I will say is, if she said that she couldn't, love you like she did, the love that you guys had, um, you know, was not always healthy. And so maybe there's a new way to love each other. I guess this is just like my eternal optimist, like situation like playing out. But maybe there is a new way to love each other that, isn't sort of like, the old way you guys loved each other was, very sort of like intense and that's okay, but it wasn't exactly healthy. There is a healthy way to love each other. um and maybe that is something that is going to exist in the future. Maybe that's something that is possible, is that there's a new way to love each other. um and maybe the new way to love each other is just by being co-parents and just maintaining that relationship for the sake of Amari. um and but that's and maybe there's a chance that you guys will find something new and different with one another. Does that make sense? Yeah. And again, sort of like maybe there's a new way for you guys to find love in a healthy way. Maybe there's healthy love out there for you too. um, it doesn't mean everything's chalked. It just means that like that intense, sort of like intense unhealthy patterning of what you guys thought was love, or what you got how you guys loved in the past, doesn't have to be the way that you guys love each other in the future. Yeah. you know yeah. Oh, that's a tough question, man. That's a tough question. That's a tough question to answer, man. I think, um, I think at some point, what'll happen. Friend of friend, yeah, friend of friend, um, friend of friend. You got to do what's best for you at the end of the day, right? Um, and if what's best for you right now is to show up and try to get her back, if that's the best thing for you to do, then that's what you can do until you get that, until you get the overt message that she's done with it, or done at the possibility. But at the end of the day, man, you got to do what's best for you. um, and that's what I would tell one of my boys. Like, if they are still, in love with the person, if they still, want to make it work, and they haven't sort of gotten that overt message of like, no, this is over, it's done. I just want to be co-parents. Um, it's okay to show up like you have been, you know. Now, if you get the overt message of like, hey, this is over, I just want to be co-parents, I just want to be friends, I want us to take care of Amari together, then yeah, then it's time to, it's time to move on. But there will come a point in time, right, that if she's still ambiguous about it, if she's still sort of like, you know, not leading you on, but like if she's still sort of like, oh, I don't know, like, maybe, maybe not, maybe this, maybe that, like at some point you got to move on too, right? At some point, sort of like you gotta, you gotta look out for Malik. And if looking out for Malik means moving on and finding someone to be with, and then that's what's best for you. Hmm. Why is my camera. Blurry again. Yeah, yeah. So she may have sent that out of, anger, or out of, being emotionally charged. And yeah, she said, yeah, she was mad. She was mad. You know. Oh. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get up on the green. Get up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whoa. What is this putt? The hell was that? Oh God. Damn it. This hole is so tough. Three putting. Yeah, you're doing, Malik, you're doing all the right things, You're, you know, you're not being invasive. You're trusting her. You're showing up. You're doing all the right things, and like that's the thing that you want to hang your hat on is that you're doing the right thing. And you're doing the right thing, like not just like for her, but you're doing the right things for yourself. And that's what you want to focus on, and that's what you want to believe is that you're doing the right things for you and her and Omari, but that you're doing it for you. And if it doesn't work out, that sucks, and it's going to be a bit of heartache and pain. um, but the person that you are, um, you know uh, as a result of this experience, is going to be so much better moving forward in whatever relationship you find yourself in. And that's what you want to hang your hat on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she hasn't done it since she was mad at that one time, you know. Oh, oh, that hurts. Yeah. 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 Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Um, and like, you know, I'm 42, and so I've been learning all this stuff for the last 30 years, and I can tolerate distress, and I can tolerate discomfort, and that sort of thing, much better than I used to when I was in my 20s. um, dude, I couldn't tolerate any amount of distress or conflict or anything when I was in my 20s because I didn't learn how to. Nobody sat me down and was like, hey, like life's gonna be super uncomfortable, and you gotta find a way to roll with it. um, you know um, And so, you know, I've learned how to do it, and but um, yeah, but you know, it comes with time and age and stuff like that. Oh my god, these butts are killing me. Yeah, yeah, and that may indicate that like you know she's unsure, like she's in a sort of like pre-contemplation phase where you know like she understands where you're at and that you want to be with her and you know that you want to make things work and that she's you know in a place where you know she doesn't know what she wants, you know, but it sounds like she's more grounded and sort of just not you know just not responding because she doesn't you know she doesn't know. You know, if she was really over it, she might say like, you know, Malik, you know, stop saying stuff like that, or like, you know, she sort of like you said, shoot you down, and just be like, yeah, you know, don't talk about that stuff, you know, or like, I don't want to talk about that stuff. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I'm with you on that. Yeah. So there's yeah, there's some indicators that you know, and again, sort of like they may be indicators that she just wants to have a you know a strong, healthy co-parenting relationship, but there's also indicators that she might not be sure if she wants to get back together or not. Now I want Wingstop. I gotta go get some wings today. Now I gotta go get. I want fried chicken so bad. I wanted it so bad yesterday, and like I got to the place. It's a place called Pollo Landia, and which means like land of chicken, but it's a fried chicken joint, and it's like a chain here in Costa Rica. And all they do is sort of like the double wings, so you get the drumette and the flat in the same wing, and really good fried chicken, um, especially for a chain. And I got there and they were like, "Oh, it's gonna be like 15 minutes before we have a new batch." Like there was this whole sort of like dinner rush, and I was like, "Fuck," and I didn't make it. I was like, I can't wait for 15 minutes. I gotta get home. Oh God, yeah, dude, blue cheese is the jam. And it's cool because here like all the wings that like they're like a bunch of wing places like on the road to my house. There's like three different wing joints, um but uh they're all not tossed. They're all, and so like I at my house I have like I have my buffalo sauce. I've got my my hot sauce. I've got honey mustard. I've got the whole thing, and so like I can bring them home and sort of like toss them myself. Yeah. Oh, dude, homemade wings are the shit. Fuck. Sand. Mm. It's been a while since I made wings. God, I have so much to do today. I gotta, I gotta defrost some chicken. I gotta make some chicken. I gotta do dishes. I gotta do notes. I'm procrastinating hard today. Oh, good. That's a good homework assignment. Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard question to ask, or a hard question to answer. Yeah. Okay. Well, we finished with a birdie. We're not going to win this one. You can't win them all. Can't win them all. We did our best. We tried our best. We did the best we could. Um, we had a good conversation about habits and change. Um, Malik, we had good good back and forth. I appreciate you. And we got third place. Got third place. So taking home the bronze today. Oh, no, we just played 18. Oh, this is gonna glitch. It's an EA glitch. We just played this hole. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. We can, yeah, like it's every relationship is different in that way. And yeah, some people take it, some people take it really hard, and it's really, tough to tough to let go, and tough to be in that place of, knowing that you got to let go. Um, but yeah, um, you know, I'll be, yeah, I feel I feel a little motivated to get some stuff done that I need to get done, and so I'm gonna go do that. And then as soon as I'm done um, with with the stuff that I have to do, then I'm gonna jump back on stream. So it's noon now. Probably take me a few hours. So I'll be back on probably tonight, and yeah, we can continue the conversation, keep it going. But yeah, Malik, take care of yourself. Set those boundaries. Set those boundaries with her. That you need some alone time, some you time, and sometimes it's time for her to step up and make sure that you can take care of yourself in that way. Good, good. All right, my friends. That's going to do it for now, but we will be back on later, and we'll keep it going. I think we're going to talk about healing and growth next. Talk about sort of like why healing takes so long, and growth feels uncomfortable, and all that fun stuff. So I got about 20 questions about healing and growth that we can answer. So we'll do that tonight. Malik, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being the best mod in the world. And um, yeah, and I will see you later this evening.